Shalom, I am Rabbi Michael Panitz, speaking to you from the pulpit of Temple Israel of Norfolk, Virginia. Tonight I want to talk to you about astronomy and its religious connotation. My topic is when Jupiter aligns with Saturn. I smile because you may know the quote from the 1969 musical Hair, the song Age of Aquarius. When the moon is in the seventh house and Jupiter aligns with Mars, then peace will guide the planets and love will steer the stars. But this week we've had a rare conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn. And the slide that is about to go up will show you what that looks like through a major telescope. This is not what you're likely to see at your backyard telescope party, but what you will see will be awesome enough. We're struggling with so many down-to-earth problems these days. On one front, we have illness and death, hospitals overwhelmed. Statistics just published put the toll of COVID-19 as far higher this year than the influenza toll. So skeptics ought to take the lesson to heart that masking up is not just a political statement, it is a lifesaver. On another front, we have unparalleled attacks upon the integrity of our democratic system. Our foes must be dancing flying kazatskas for glee, seeing us doing the work of weakening American democracy from within. Not that our self-inflicted wounds have prevented them from attacking our computer systems. To focus on what our top leadership has still been consumed by 6 weeks after our presidential election is to fiddle while Rome is burning. Our society is also bleeding from wounds of cruelty and racism. Internationally, the picture is bleak also. We have ongoing global warming and environmental devastation. Brazil, under its neo-fascist dictatorship, continues the deforestation of the Amazon, the lungs of the planet. Selfish nations overfish the ocean stocks. We have a proxy war going on between Sunni and Shiite Muslims in Yemen, and ongoing conflicts in Eritrea, in Chad, in the Congo, in the Central African Republic. The Chinese are committing genocide. The list is numbing. Urgent voices tell us to mend our ways before we destroy ourselves. We tune them out. But then something happens that has at least a possibility of getting us to reconsider. That is how I would pray this week's astronomical conjunction could function in our human consciousness. I would like to suggest 3 lessons from this heavenly ballet, valid for all time, and the 4th lesson, especially valid today. First, the heavens are vast, almost unimaginably great in scale. Light travels at about 300,000 kilometers per second. There are 31,536,000 seconds in a year. So light travels about 9.5 trillion kilometers per year, or about 6 trillion miles. Using our most advanced telescopes, we can see objects that are 13 billion light years away. That is 78 sextillion miles, 78 with 21 zeros following it. Consider that. And then remember that our task is not to guarantee that the stars continue in their sky according to their appointed rounds. That is God's task. Our task is to live our localized lives that God grants us according to God's will. God doesn't need us to be junior gods, just people who make respect and love the hallmark of our existence. Second lesson, as the scale of space is vast, so is the span of time. The conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn is only an epiphenomenon, not an act of any physical significance. But it is striking, so naturally we wonder how common it is. This will happen again, but not for another 60 years. And this is nothing compared to the time that our solar system has existed, 4.5 billion years. And that makes our solar system only middle-aged. Our galaxy has seen eons of stars shine, swell, and explode, or simply run out of fuel for their nuclear fusion over the time span of 2 or 3 times as long as the age of our sun and its attendant satellites. How long will we be alive? A century? A bit less? Why should it be so difficult to adopt a mindset that regards the primary entity, the primary reality of life, as the world, and not merely our mayfly existence? Our short-sightedness is hurting our own children. This is no longer ignorance. It is deliberate callousness. We need to start thinking like the earth's caretakers, not like its owners. God is the owner. The third lesson is that we find this conjunction of the planets Jupiter and Saturn significant, even though it's not physically important. It's a happy accident of our line of sight. So why is it important to us? Because we have a sense of beauty. We should cultivate that sense. It is one of the channels to develop our spiritual side. It cannot take the place of the ethical, but it can add to our conscience and make us still more mindful of our place in the cosmos and of how we ought to live in the light of that God-established reality. Finally, a lesson for 2020. A rare moment captures our collective attention and tells us to look up. Look up! Look up and see the planets continuing their stately minuet as they have danced for billions of years. Look up! Look up and be amazed. Perhaps that will jog our complacency and help us to say, Hineni, here I am, to God's endless call. Ayeka, where are you? Amen.